at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. On Sunday, the 2nd of April 2023, Kariobangi Sharks will be up against Equity from 1 p.m. as they pave way for the clash between Premier League sides KCB and Bidco United at 3 p.m. at the Kasarani Annex. Catch all the actions live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. Who will be the 2023 undisputed champion of the Mozart Bet Cup and get the golden chance of representing Kenya in the CAF Confederation Cup Tournament? KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
He is a fool who has lost sight of what matters.
Huyu contact ni msichana umekuwa kitext.
Sir, contact ni contact.
Not if you're making it personal.
Jamaa, kila saa ni kunyambisha.
Nini? Suseme.
Watajua kwa nini kachumbari haipashwi moto.
Our transport has been compromised. Me and my team have hit an IED.
Hii ni rescue mission. Kuna police vehicle imechapwa na IED. It's a very simple mission. But stay alert.
Hizi ng'ombe zinachungwa na nani?
Familia nyingi zimeathirika na hata mara nyingine kupoteza wapendwa wao kutokana na aina za majiko zinazotumia kuni nyingi na kutoa moshi nyingi. Lakini sasa kuna suluhisho kupitia kwa super jiko. Majiko ya kisasa yanayotumia kuni kidogo na kutoa moshi kidogo. Hivyo hutunza familia yako kutokana na magonjwa yanayoletwa na moshi. Kwa kutumia kuni kidogo pia tuna save mazingira yetu. Siri ni kuwa majiko haya ya kisasa yametengenezwa kwa lea nono ya udongo ili kuzuia kupoteza joto, uhifadhi joto jingi na hivyo upika kwa haraka. Kuna aina nyingi ya majiko haya ya kisasa. Waweza kujengewa jikoni mwako au waweza kununua. Usibahatishe.
Super Jiko, upishi smart na salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na Wizara ya Kawi na washirika wenza.
Hello, this is KBC Prime Edition, bringing you the Eyes on the News this Monday, the 27th of March, 2023. Good evening. My name is Mboya. Let's begin this live broadcast with our lead stories tonight. One person feared dead in Kisumu as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition holds demonstrations. Which way protests? Goons invade Kenyatta Northlands farm. Wooing foreign investors. President William Ruto meets German president and business community. Plus, bad business. National carrier Kenya Airways records 38.3 billion shillings full year loss. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Lensa Odingo. Our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya. Now, one person is feared dead and 2 others were critically injured as police engaged demonstrators in running battles in Kisumu County. Kisumu County Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o earlier in the day led demonstrations in a peaceful procession that started in Kondele all the way to Nyamasaria along that Nairobi road in what was seen as a master stroke in avoiding chaos in the central business district. Things, however, degenerated after the county leadership left, with rowdy youth engaging police in running battles. Timothy Kipnusu opens our coverage tonight with that report.
At least one person was killed and 2 others seriously injured as anti-government demonstrations turned chaotic in Kisumu County. The 3 were amongst those that were engaging the police in running battles in Kondele for the better part of the day. At the onset of Monday demonstrations, Kisumu County Governor Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, his deputy Dr. Matthew Zawili, and a host of local leaders joined the demonstrators who had gathered at the famous Kondele roundabout, managed to convince the demonstrators against heading into the Kisumu city. The leaders, joined by the demonstrators, then peacefully snaked through the northern bypass all the way to Nyamasaria along the Nairobi highway. The leaders would then address the gathering peacefully before dispersing. The demonstrations, however, took a nasty turn as small pockets of demonstrators headed to the CBD while others headed to the Kondele roundabout. From then on, it was running battles as the 2 groups engaged in a hide-and-seek game with the police. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Kisumu County.
Well, that story was read by Simon Achola. Now, at least 2 people sustained gunshot wounds in Migori County, with the business and public transport services paralyzed in some parts of the country by the ongoing protests called by the opposition. Kisumu, Migori, and Busia are among counties that joined the countrywide demonstrations aimed to pressure government to bring down the cost of living. In Nakuru, Narok, and Laikipia County, residents went about their business as normal, with no protests held in these counties. Here's that story.
Unga 250, mafuta petrol 181. Tafadhali serikali, tunaomba usaidizi. Sisi tuko na njaa.
Tunanunua unga sijui na pesa 220. Tunataka bei ya unga irudi mpaka shilingi 70.
Peleka watoto kwa shule. Mimi niko na watoto 4 bado hawajaenda kwa shule, school fees imepandwa. Siwezi kukula kwa nyumba na watoto wamekaa kwa nyumba.
Let it be known, peace is paramount. Agitating for mass action would result in destruction of business and loss of lives, among other things.
Maandamano iko na wenye wanaendesha na iko wenye wako na personal interest. Kwa hivyo mimi nikiandamana hakuna kitu ndapata.
Sisi hapa tunasema ni amani, tunafanya kazi, si hatutaki maneno na maandamano.
Hizi wakati wa maandamano, saa hii ni wakati wa kufanya kazi.
Wenye wanataka kuandamana waendelee, lakini sisi tupewe haki yetu. Tuendelee kufanya kazi kwa amani bila kusumbuliwa.
Kama kungewezekana serikali tuangalilie hiyo maneno, sababu watoto wetu watakuja kulala njaa.
Hiyo unga anasema iwe chini. Mungu ndio tunagojea. Mvua ndio hii, Mungu ametujibu majibu. Tulikuwa tunaomba kwa miaka 4 sisi hatujaona mvua.
What we need kama wa Kenya ni wakae chini, sisi tupunguziwe gharama iende chini. Azwa mafuta ndio.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga has insisted that the Monday and Thursday street demonstrations will continue until the Kenya Kwanza government heeds to their demands. Speaking in Kawangware, Kibra, Raila said no amount of intimidation will silence their course. Among the issues the opposition wants addressed are high cost of living and impartial recruitment of the IEBC commissioners.
Second week demonstrations in Nairobi. The convoy of the Azimio leaders passing through Kibra and Kawangware. It is here that the leaders went bare knuckle on the government. Hello. The leaders insisting that they will go on with their demonstration twice a week until their issues are addressed.
Na tusilegeze. Na lazima bei ya unga irudi wapi? Kwa hivyo tuendelee mpaka tutoboe hii safari.
Gharama maisha mpaka irudi wapi? Bei ya unga, bei ya mafuta, bei ya sukari, kodi ya nyumba, karo ya shule, alafu sava ipunguliwe. Wangapi wanasema sava ipunguliwe? Nione mkono hapo.
The leaders regretted the government decision not to allow them exercise their democratic right.
Mimi nawaomba wakikaribia baba tutatoka sisi Kenya yote, hatutakubali.
Na tunasema asiporudisha bei ya unga chini, tunamwambia baba kila siku tuende maandamano.
In Kibra, Raila supporters' efforts to make their way to the capital were thwarted after the police barricaded all the roads leading to the central business district. The opposition want the government to lower the cost of living, open the IEBC servers, and stop the ongoing recruitment of the IEBC commissioners. Kibra constituency being the political bedrock for Raila Odinga, having served as a member of parliament for 21 years, it appears this place will be the epicenter of the Monday and Thursday demos of pushing the government to address the high cost of living. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition, Nairobi.
Now, for the second week in a row, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition-led demonstrators could not access the Nairobi Central Business District, and the reason was heavy police presence that was witnessed in the CBD. The situation remained relatively calm, although many business premises remained closed. Gladys Mungai reports.
The situation at Nairobi Central Business District on Monday morning near normalcy despite fears that the Monday demonstrations by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition might disrupt routine. A number of business owners opting to take caution as premises remained closed, tight security across the city centre, including outside the iconic Kenyatta Interconventional Centre. Later in the afternoon, a beehive of activity along major streets after it became clear that demonstrators would not access CBD. However, a few individuals with ill motives found themselves on the wrong side of the law. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Now, at least 2 people sustained gunshot wounds in Migori. That report, of course, we had brought to you earlier on. And now let's move. The business community in Mombasa County want the Azimio la Umoja Kenya Alliance coalition leader Raila Odinga to call off the countrywide demonstrations, saying that they are hurting business. Mombasa residents remained peaceful and went about their normal routines. Here is that report.
Peace and calmness was witnessed along the streets of Mombasa and the Central Business District as businesses remained open despite demonstrations called by the opposition across the country. At Makinon Market, traders sold their groceries as usual. Traders at the market, however, registered their displeasure in the ongoing demonstrations.
mali mengi inapatikana kutoka kupitia Nairobi. Ikileta kisababisha namna hii hakuna gari ambayo inashuka. Kitu pengine utapata viazi na yuko kiuzwa 5,000. Hivi sasa inauzwa 8,000 na 7,500. Nini inasababisha maandamano? Kwa leo nisaidia ama uniumiza zaidi?
Hali imekuwa ngumu. Hali ya uchumi imekuwa ngumu. Wao wanajua wanachofanya, wananchi wanaumia. Na wananchi wakiumia, maisha ndo yanakuwa magumu sana. Maisha yanakuwa mazito sana kulingana vile hali ilivyo.
They noted that the prices of goods have skyrocketed, which is hurting the already overburdened Kenyans, noting things can only get worse with the demonstrations. Residents noted that they hoped they would make record sales during this holy month of Ramadan, but that has not been the case.
Hali imekuwa ngumu sana. Biashara ziko, mali ziko juu, biashara iko chini. Kila unakokwenda na ni mfungo wa Ramadhani huu. Waumini wanahitaji kununua vitu badala ya kufunga wapate iftari, lakini hali imekuwa ngumu sana katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Biashara zimerudi chini kabisa. Soko letu tutegemea wageni, tutegemea wazungu, tutegemea kila aina ya mtu ambaye anakuja hapa mjini Mombasa, lakini nakuta mpaka wale wageni wanaogopa kuingia mahali hapa juu ya vile issue ya maandamano, siasa ziko.
They are now calling on the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance leader Raila Odinga to reconsider his stand and give dialogue a chance. They have also urged the youth not to cause any violence or destroy property even as they demonstrate.
Advice yangu kwa vijana, mimi ni kiongozi kanisani, lakini ikiwa ni kijana, angalia sana maisha yako. Value your life. Your life is better than maandamano.
For Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I am Ann Mburu.
Well, that story brings us to our first break right here on KBC Prime Edition. We're taking a short break, but we will be back. Don't go away. Stay with us.
We have a beautiful country. We want to see Kenya return to the Kenya of old. Stable, peaceful, prosperous, welcoming the people from the region and the world with open arms. We need to build a secure Kenya, a peaceful Kenya that abides by the rule of law and respects human rights.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
The Alliance Francaise Nairobi came to life last Wednesday evening thanks to the monthly event Showcase Wednesday.
So for me, it's wonderful to be here in Kenya and having been able to find wonderful female musicians.
The challenge is to the artist to try and figure out how they can remain relevant. I, for one, really study my consumer. I study my fans a lot. Anytime a fan stops me for an autograph and say, hey, remember that tune called Uprising, and would like to hear something else like that. She came straight to me, told me love, tell you that I can say it when she said that. She tried to bear with me, or you can't carry on me, no, true when she said that. Maybe what I've changed over there is a stage act. I don't focus too much on the choreo, more into, because I do a lot of live band performances. You are more, dance at that time, lonely calling, a later matata, hands up in the air, cause you know you are.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When you're children,
children sleep hungry when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome to KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle at Mboya, 24-hour socials at KBC Channel 1. Now moving on, security was heightened on roads around State House, Nairobi, Monday ahead of the protest by opposition leader Raila Odinga. Roadblocks were erected by armed police who stopped and proceeded to search vehicles to ensure that no unauthorized persons gained access to the vicinity. Our senior reporter, Regina Manyara, was on the ground and filed this following report.
Tutaanza safari ya kwenda Ikulu ili kule twende tunyakue ushindi wetu.
A defiant Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has vowed to lead protesters to State House, to the seat of power. A heavy contingent of police armed to the teeth were manning roads leading to State House with one goal: no breach by demonstrators.
They are demanding to see your identification card. They also want to know where it is that you're going so that they can give you access, Troy. So as we're waiting to see the turn that these particular demos are going to take today, if it's about approaching State House via this particular road, well, I'd want to say what the security just actually told us is that no access. Access denied via State House Avenue.
Pedestrians and motorists alike were scrutinized, and if one did not fit the bill, they were taken back or advised to take an alternative route. Affected roads included Dennis Street, State House Road, and State House Avenue. The heavy presence of security personnel deterred would-be idlers and demonstrators from accessing State House by afternoon. Even the media had a hard time accessing areas around the highly protected area. Armored vehicles were strategically stationed around State House. State House is the official residence of Kenya's President, Dr. William Ruto. Regina Manyara, reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, the High Court has declined to issue conservatory orders to stop the ongoing mass action by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya. In a ruling by Justice Hedwig Ongudi, the court declined to issue orders to the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, to arrest the protesters, saying that it is not proper for the court to appear to be settling out new policies and regulations.
In the application through lawyer Harrison Kinyanjui, the petition says the mass action had caused a lot of disruption, affecting a lot of people, arguing that every Kenyan has a right to protection of the law which the court should uphold. According to the ruling delivered, it's not for the court to direct two senior government officers, who include the Cabinet Secretary and the Inspector General of Police, on their mandates on who to arrest and who not to arrest.
People power.
Meanwhile, the Director of Criminal Investigations presented 3 members of Bunge la Wananchi, Calvin Sokoth Otieno alias Gausho Jeshi, Maroba Okanga and Charles Oko before a Kiambu Law Court, seeking to detain them for 10 days as they complete investigations.
Malicious damage to property, contrary to section 339, subsection 1 of the...
No annexure, no evidence.
Nasema kama bunge president, hii ni economic revolution. Hii si mambo na Raila, si mambo na Kalonzo, ni mambo ya vijana wa Kenya.
The ruling on the miscellaneous application will be delivered tomorrow, Tuesday, the 28th of March 2023. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
An unknown number of goons Monday invaded Northlands Farm along the Eastern Bypass, linked to former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and made away with a number of sheep, while others cut down trees and lit fire on the land. Another gang invaded Spectra East Africa Company within Nairobi's industrial area, linked to Azimio leader Raila Amolo Odinga, destroying property of unknown value. Here's that report.
At around 10 a.m. Monday, unknown people invaded the Northlands Estate tree plantation linked to retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, descending on trees and everything on sight. Pandemonium as each of the invaders sought to ensure they don't leave the farm empty-handed. Some opting to carry sheep from the farm by all means, even if it meant the crudest of all. Along the Eastern Bypass, cameras were unwelcome as the goons cut down trees, carried livestock and lit fires in the land. Some even opting to hawk the sheep by the road. Another group also attacked Spectre East Africa Limited, associated with Azimio leader Raila Odinga. The group leaving behind a trail of destruction visible at the main entrance of the company. Azimio leader Raila Odinga has since condemned the invasion, terming it an act of cowardice.
Sisi tunafanya siasa ya kufuata sheria na katiba. Katiba inaruhusu maandamano.
John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Kenya and Germany will give priority to the elimination of non-tariff barriers in an effort to reduce the cost of business and ease the movement of goods and services between the two countries. President William Ruto and his German counterpart, Dr. Frank-Walter Steinmeier, agreed that the trade arrangement will improve the balance of trade that's currently in favor of Germany.
President William Ruto met his German counterpart on the second day of his German tour and agreed to create a conducive business environment. During the meeting held in Berlin, the two heads of state committed to forming deeper and broader economic cooperation for mutual prosperity. Earlier, the president had also met German Association of Small and Medium-Sized Businesses, reiterating the government is committed to its bottom-up economic transformation agenda to supporting small enterprises. Discussions centered around approaches to bring more German and international businesses to Kenya. Ruth Wamboy for Prime Edition.
Well, thank you for watching Prime Edition, coming to you from Broadcasting House right here in Nairobi, Kenya. We're taking a short break. We'll be back shortly.
Kupata Waibrania kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *817 hash.
Yesu Kristo ni yule yule, jana, leo na hata milele. Wahibrania 13 mstari wa 8.
Kupata Waibrania, bonyeza *811 *817 hash. *811 *817 hash.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
Welcome
love to take on tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. The government has reiterated its commitment to roll out digital spaces within the devolved units, as well as at least 2 Wi-Fi hotspots per county. ICT and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo at the same time called on county bosses to align themselves with the deliberate efforts of positioning the country as a digital hub. Here's that report.
ICT and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo met a section of governors and senators in Mombasa on the status of digital technology in the country. Owalo saying the trolling of the 100,000 kilometers fiber optic network within the digital superhighway will enable the government unlock over 1,400 digital hubs countrywide as it establishes a minimum of 2 Wi-Fi hotspots per county.
Those counties where we have not yet established the Wi-Fis will get a minimum of 2 Wi-Fi hotspots between now and June. But the overall threshold is 25,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots.
The government further expressed commitment to digitize and rebrand TVETs and vocational centers countrywide in a bid of bridging the existing skill gaps among the youth.
Our youth can be trained to acquire the requisite ICT skills, while correspondingly at the same time, we are also reaching out to global technological companies to help them identify digital jobs so that we match the jobs with the available skills, competencies, and capabilities.
The 2 levels of government to develop resilient and sustainable systems that leverage on digital technologies to nurture skills among the youth to enhance their employability.
By February 2023, every Kenyan is expected to have acquired a digital identification number that will permit them access to 5,700 digitized government services.
But collaborate and make policies that make sure that we incorporate and we make sure that ICT is everywhere in this country.
We have got the requisite level of cooperation, constant engagement between us as national government and the county governments as far as ICT is concerned, then in the not too distant future, based on the already outlined goals and objectives, we should be able to position Kenya effectively as the ICT hub of Africa.
Juni Karisa Mbele from Mombasa County.
Parents from Emulama Primary School in Nabakolo, Kakamega County, are seeking intervention from the Teachers Service Commission to address the dwindling academic performances at the school. Details of this and more in our county news roundup.
We begin in Garissa County, where it is a race against time as the government moves to repair a damaged section of the Garissa-Modogashe Road that was washed away following a heavy downpour on Sunday morning. Northeastern Regional Commissioner John Otieno assured residents that the road, which is a major gateway to Wajir and Mandera counties, will be recarpeted as quickly as possible.
We've moved into the section with immediate effect. We are trying to reinstate right now a temporary diversion, which we hope to finish within the next 2 to 3 hours, after which we'll embark on the main road, because the long term is to have the main road reinstated.
Elsewhere in Turkana County, residents from Muruase and Takwel, Loima Sub-County, are facing severe starvation with malnutrition looming among the elderly and children. The residents say despite the onset of rains, they are still unable to afford food because the prolonged drought affected the health of their livestock, which is their main source of livelihoods.
Tunaomba usaidizi, mtusaidie kwa upande ya maji, kwa upande ya chakula, upande ya mashamba ambayo inatakana wakati wakwate.
Tunarifaa watu wetu wasaidiwe kwa upande ya mashamba kufyekwa msitu, alafu sasa irrigation hizo makanal ifufuliwe.
Meanwhile, irate parents stormed the Mulama Primary School in Avaholo in Kakamega County and barred the head teacher from assessing the institution. They accuse Moses Hainga of misappropriation of funds and mismanagement, which has led pupils to post poor results in national examinations.
Na tulikuwa na minisko ya 240. Sahi minisko yetu iko 100. Kwa hivyo tuko nyuma kimichezo, tuko nyuma hata kusoma, community inalia, walimu analia, hata wazazi hawana direction. Ukienda kwa mkutano wazazi wako tu huku na huku, hakuna kuelewana.
And Muranga County government has unveiled a program aimed at encouraging expectant mothers to visit antenatal clinics and deliver in hospitals. The program, dubbed Maternal Health Support, will see the county government food transport expenses for mothers who are within and past 7 months pregnant.
There are many mothers who have been delivering at home because of lack of transport reimbursement. They can't afford transport to the nearest maternity. So as a county, we came up with a package that we shall be reimbursing transport for our women coming to public facilities for antenatal clinic and also for delivery.
Frederick Parsayo, Prime Edition.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
The Alliance Francaise Nairobi came to life last Wednesday evening thanks to the monthly event Showcase Wednesday.
So for me, it's wonderful to be here in Kenya and having been able to find wonderful female musicians.
The challenge is to the artists to try and figure out how they can remain relevant. I, for one, really study my consumer. I study my fans a lot. Anytime a fan stops me for an autograph and say, hey, remember that tune called Uprising, man, we'd like to hear something else like that. She came straight to me, tell me love, tell you that I can't say it, she said that. She tried to bear with me, oh, you can't carry on, you know, she said that. Maybe what I've changed over there is a stage act. I don't focus too much on the choreo, more into, because I do a lot of live band performances.
A very good evening to you. Thank you for keeping it Prime Edition here on KBC Channel 1. Time to get the latest in the world of business. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, Kenya Airways says its 2022 full-year loss more than doubled to a record 38.3 billion shillings, eclipsing the record 36.2 billion shillings the carrier made for 2020. Kenya Airways blames the latest record loss to high fuel prices, financing costs, 4-day pilot strike and a weak shilling. As Hibak Said narrates, The carrier's management is bullish that a partnership with South African Airlines would help fly it to profitability in the year 2025.
Kenya Airways has been loss-making over the last decade and relying on bailouts to keep its aircrafts in the air. The airline posted a record full-year loss of 36.2 billion shillings for 2020, blaming it on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic that saw countries shut their airspaces, drastically reducing travel. The airline has surpassed that. For the financial year ending December 2022, KQ says its net loss was 38.2 billion shillings, which is more than double of the 15.9 billion shillings in losses that the carrier reported in 2021. Despite total income increasing 66.3% to 116.8 billion shillings, the carrier's operating costs increased 59.1% from 77 billion shillings to 122.4 billion shillings. Kenya Airways blames the increased costs to high fuel prices that pushed its fuel bill to 26.1 billion shillings. Due to unsteady and high fuel prices, Kenya Airways is considering going back to fuel hedging, noting that hedging would not go beyond 40% of the total fuel purchases and would be limited to a 12-month advance. In addition, the carrier says its higher operating costs were due to higher net finance costs at 23.3 billion shillings due to a weak shilling and overhead costs at 5 billion shillings, as well as the impact of the 4-day pilot strike in November. The carrier is optimistic of breaking even next year and flying back to profitability in the year 2025, powered by a deal with South African Airways and a restructuring of the company. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Hibak, for that report. Now, the new Kenya Cooperative Creameries needs an additional 600 milk cooling plants to effectively deal with milk glut during the rainy season. Livestock Principal Secretary Harry Kimtai says cash is being sought to finance the purchase and installation of the milk coolers.
In the latest supplementary budget, the new Kenya Cooperative Creameries was allocated 200 million shillings to mop up excess milk that will be produced during the long rains. The cash will be spent on installation of an additional 600 cooling plants by the new KCC across the country.
We are going to support farmers with the dairy farmers with 650 coolers so that they are able to continue supplying to the processors without wasting the milk, because we have a very short period of conserving the milk once it leaves the animal.
This is expected to stabilize milk farm gate prices to protect farmers.
If there will be overproduction of milk, then they will be able to offtake the milk and then turn them into powder, preserve them for future use, because you don't know whether we are going to have drought again.
The government is also preparing a livestock restock program in areas that were adversely affected by drought.
The grass is growing and what we need now is restocking. We are going to see how those who have been affected, how can we then support them with restocking.
He was speaking during the 10th Kenya Agriculture, Livestock and Research Organization anniversary celebrations, whose key message was on the private sector to commercialize their innovations.
Maize varieties only. I think we have over 200 maize varieties that have been developed for different agroecological zones.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Well, the Central Bank of Kenya has approved 10 additional digital credit providers, bringing to 32 the total number of licensed digital lenders operating in the country. The Apex Bank says it is still reviewing applications from 369 digital lenders. The Central Bank says it is engaging other regulators and agencies pertinent to the licensing process.
The Central Bank of Kenya introduced the Digital Credit Providers Regulation 2021, which was precipitated by concerns about the predatory practices of unregulated digital credit providers, about their high cost, unethical debt collection practices, and the abuse of personal information. The licensing and oversight of digital lenders under the new regulations requires digital lenders to disclose all loan charges before disbursing loans to borrowers. The Central Bank says it has so far received 401 applications from digital lenders. In September last year, the central bank licensed 10 digital lenders and issued a cease and desist order for all unlicensed operators from conducting digital credit business in Kenya. In January, the Apex Bank licensed 12 more digital credit providers, bringing to 22 the total number of licensed digital lenders. And today, the central bank says it has licensed 10 more digital lenders, bringing to 32 the total number of licensed digital credit providers in the country. This means 369 digital lenders who apply to be licensed are still not operational. A statement from the central bank says, CBK has received 401 applications since March 2022 and has worked closely with the applicants in reviewing their applications. Additionally, CBK has engaged other regulators and agencies pertinent to the licensing process, including the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. The focus of the engagements has been inter alia on business models, consumer protection and fitness, and propriety of proposed shareholders, directors, and management. We acknowledge the efforts of the applicants and the support of other regulators and agencies in this process. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
And members of Githunguri Dairy Community Sacco are set to benefit from 141 million shillings in dividends. Sacco chairman Joseph Gitau Mburu says the effective use of technology has spurred the Sacco and led to increased earnings. Details of these and others in our corporate briefs.
Githunguri Dairy Community Sacco has implored the government to formulate policies that will address double taxation faced by farmers when receiving dividends. They said the high cost of living has increased the cost of production, narrowing their profit margins.
Ile tunaita systemic ama continuous taxation of the same subject. Kwa mfano mkulima akichukua loan, kuna ile pesa watu tunakata kama kodi, lakini kwetu watu wapatii cheki waende kwa benki. Tuko na fosa ama bank pale ndani. Kwa hivyo hiyo pesa tukawekea kwa account, tena tunawafuata. Kila wakati wakitoa pesa tunatoa excise duty, na tumekaa chini tukaanalyze tukaona ni kama tunakula huyo mkulima mara nyingi sana.
Kama high cost of production kwa chakula ya ng'ombe, hata fuel, hizo zote serikali ikiangalia ilete hiyo gharama chini, huyu mkulima ataweza kusave hiyo pesa yake.
Meanwhile, tea factories in Kericho County have resumed operations in the wake of the long-awaited rains. The dry season had seen the supply of the green leaf decline, forcing factories to cut down on production costs. The move will also ensure farmers benefit from tea sales, as market prices are currently on the rise owing to higher exchange rates.
I want to urge farmers to continue supplying good leaf to our company so that we can be able to catch up with the competitive market worldwide.
And finally, global cloud communications platform Infobip has rolled out live video support to help businesses resolve customer queries more quickly and shorten customer wait times. The feature eliminates time-consuming back and forth between the agent and customer, while enabling businesses to connect with their customers anywhere, anytime. Nduta Mokami for Lunchtime News.
Now moving on, Alibaba founder Jack Ma has returned to China, the South China Morning Post reported on Monday, ending a more than 1 year-long sojourn overseas that was viewed by industry as reflecting the sober mood of China's private businesses. Ma, one of China's best-known entrepreneurs, left mainland China in late 2021 and has been seen in photographs in Japan, Australia and Thailand in the months since. Here are the details of these and other stories making headlines across the globe.
Alibaba founder Jack Ma, once one of the country's most outspoken businessmen, had retreated from the public limelight in late 2020 after criticizing China's regulatory system that was later blamed for triggering a wide-ranging regulatory crackdown by Beijing. While Chinese authorities said in recent months they had ended the crackdown and would look for ways to support the private sector, Chinese entrepreneurs said they saw Ma's decision to stay overseas as a factor hindering confidence. Alibaba shares in Hong Kong rose more than 4% after the South China Morning Post report was published. The report did not state when Ma had returned to China, but said he visited a school he founded in the city of Hangzhou, the home of Alibaba and financial technology firm Ant Group. Meanwhile, the assets and loans of collapsed U.S. lender Silicon Valley Bank are being bought by rival First Citizens Bank shares. The failure of Silicon Valley Bank earlier this month triggered fears about the stability of other lenders, sparking sharp falls in banking shares around the world. In Europe, worries over the strength of Swiss banking giant Credit Suisse led a rush takeover by rival UBS. Nerves among investors have remained, and the bank shares fell sharply on Friday. Under the Silicon Valley Bank takeover deal, announced by the U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, all 17 former Silicon Valley Bank branches will open under the First Citizens brand on Monday. Silicon Valley Bank customers are being advised to continue using their current branch until they receive notice from First Citizens Bank that their account has been fully moved across. Finally, Twitter says parts of the source code which underpins multi-billionaire Elon Musk's social media platform have been leaked online. It says the code was posted on GitHub, a Microsoft-owned service where software developers share code. Separately, Musk has reportedly signaled to Twitter workers that the firm is worth less than half the $44 billion he paid for it last year. Digital Millennium Copyright Act was signed into law in the US in 1998. It is aimed at protecting copyrighted materials on the internet.
And that's about it for the business news this evening. Sports news is coming up with Karen Kibet. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do have a lovely night. Bye-bye.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
He is a fool who has lost sight of what matters. Manta rabaina wahka kawan. Manta werarena.
Huyu contact. Ni msichana umekuwa kitext.
Sir, contact ni contact.
Not if you're making it personal.
Jamaa, kila saa ni kunyambisha.
Nini? Suseme.
Watajua kwa nini kachumbari haipashwi moto.
Our transport has been compromised. Me and my team have hit an IED.
Hii ni rescue mission. Kuna police vehicle imechapwa na IED. It's a very simple mission. But stay alert.
Hizi ng'ombe zinachungwa na nani?
Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now delve into sports matters. Kenya emerged winners in the field and track events at the just concluded 4th edition of the Eastern African Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization Games in Kigali, Rwanda, after accumulating 34 gold medals, 10 silver and 13 bronze.
The Kenyan corps dominated in the field and track events, winning 57 medals. Mary Mora won a gold medal in the women's 400 meters, while Veronica Mutua bagged a bronze medal. The national 100 meters record holder Maximila Imali won 2 medals after registering victories in the 100 meters and the 200 meters races respectively. In the 1500 meters men's race, Abel Kipsang and Robert Biwott won gold and silver respectively. National Police Service Quartet of Eunice Kadogo, Millicent Ndoro, Moni Sefania and Maximila Imali won a gold medal in the 4x100 meters sprint relay, while Robinson Wanjala, Peter Mwai, Duke Ongoti and Richard Ogutu won the men's 4x100 meters relay. The men's relay team of William Ryan, Brian Tinega, Wycliffe Kinyamal and Emmanuel Mutua also won a gold medal in the 4x400 meters race. Robert Kiprop and Edwin Beatty won a gold and a silver medal in the 5,000 meters race after finishing first and second respectively. Kenya finished the outing as the second overall best behind Rwanda as Uganda took bronze. For Prime Edition, I am Nora Mongi.
Standing for their... Thank you, Nora, for that report. Moving on, Harambee Starlets are expected to report to camp on Thursday this week to prepare to face Albania in an international friendly in Tirana on the 11th of next month. Head coach Godfrey Odwor has named a provisional squad of 30 players for the match. 10 foreign-based players including Turkish side trio Mwana Halima Adam, Vivian Nasaka and Phoebe Owiti. Others are Gentrix Shikanga, Vivian Corazon, and Ruth Inkosi, who all play for Simba Queens. Mona Lisa Onyango, Ketsi Ngaira, and Valentin Kwaka, who ply trade in the top-tier league, have also received their first call-up. Odwor said their main aim is to rebuild the team after missing in action for more than 1 year. Morocco is committed to building more sports infrastructure to support their 2030 FIFA World Cup joint bid with Portugal and Spain. Host countries for the 2030 FIFA World Cup will be announced next year, with Morocco in the race to become the second African country to stage the football bonanza after South Africa in 2010.
As per the Royal Moroccan Football Federation, the government will pump more funds to construct more stadiums in addition to refurbishment of the existing grounds, as well as increasing hospitality facilities